While increasing physical activity has the potential to not only improve the physical and mental health of the nation but also save money, other potential benefits linked to physical activity in children and young people include the acquisition of social skills, better concentration in school and displacement of antisocial criminal behavior, which suggests that promoting active lifestyles can help us address some of the important challenges facing the UK today. While India might have absolute advantage in providing both computer programming and innovative new technologies because of the low cost, the United States has a comparative advantage in technology innovation because of easier capital obtaining, which suggests that Indian programmers will do more and more of what US programmers have been doing in the past and American firms will shift to more and more innovation. A miner in Mexico found a tiny tree frog preserved in amber for 25 million years, which would be the first of its kind found in Mexico, with a few other preserved frogs found in chunks of amber, and Carbot would like to extract a sample from the frog's remains to find DNA that could identify the particular species, but the owner may not allow it. While human remains are the fundamental part for analysis and interpretation of any archaeological records, they still need to be reburied after a 2-year scientific period because of the appearance and development of new technologies and methods, so human remains should be removed from the curation process, with scientists concerned that this might be the first step towards a policy of reburying all human remains. While American English is a dialect with an army because the United States is the most powerful nation on the earth and such power brings with it influence, America's political influence is extended through American popular culture, which also results in an expansion of its language, and the international prominence of American English is associated with the quick development of communications technology, which suggests American English is the most influential and powerful variety of English. While developing countries specialize in labor-intensive production because of the abundance of low-priced labor, the United States specializes in human and physical capital-intensive production because of the abundance of highly educated labor force and technically sophisticated equipment, suggesting the global production should yield higher global output of both types of goods, but once technologies become well understood and production processes are designed, production will migrate to countries with less expensive labor. In its periodic quest for culinary identity, Australia automatically looks to its indigenous ingredients. The foods that are native to this country, notwithstanding the lack of justification for the premise that national dishes are founded on ingredients native to the country and the reality that Australians do not eat indigenous foods in significant quantities, and indigenous foods are less relevant to Australian identity today than lamb and passion fruit, both initially imported and now naturalized. While double-blind is a virtue of clinical trials because it rules out the potential confounding influences of patients and physician beliefs, Viewing double-blind trial as necessarily superior is problematic because it leads to the paradox that effective experimental treatments will not be supportable by the best evidence, but claims treatments are effective is highly testable and intuitively they should receive greater support from the evidence than do claims about treatments with moderate effects. As warmer winter temperatures become more common, a new study of 59 bird species found that shifting birds' range northward is not that easy and quick enough, and different species responded differently to climate change, which highlights the challenges and the high potential climate change has for disrupting natural systems. Although electric cars were actually more popular than cars with an internal combustion engine as they were more comfortable to ride in, they declined because cars fueled by petrol increased in importance. However, because of economic reasons and environmental motivations, nowadays there is renewed interest in electricity as a means of powering road vehicles. There are several reasons that contribute to a rise in crime rate, including those businesses do not report crimes against themselves for fear of lowering their public image, that citizens have no incentive to tell police if they become victims, a new policing policy, the enactment of a new range of offenses or the possibility of committing old offenses in a new way, and the way that criminal statistics are compiled by the Home Office. Although the implicit of sustainable development is that the old pattern of development which was driven by innovation and led to huge improvements could not be sustained, we assume that society remains static and we can understand the needs of the future, which means that sustainability paradigm fails to recognize that the way we live today couldn't be predicted and placed limits on human ingenuity, so we need to question these assumptions. Assessment is a central process in education and a bridge between teaching and learning, as many students do not learn what they are taught because they have reached different understandings of the material being studied, but assessment is also used for other purposes in education, such as assessments of the performance of students, and also to decide which kinds of education students should receive. A lot of boys decide early on that they are just too cool for school, which means they're more likely to be rowdy in class. Teachers mark them down for this. In anonymous tests, boys perform better. In fact, the gender gap in reading drops by a third when teachers don't know the gender of the pupil they are marking. So what can be done to close this gap? Getting boys to do more homework and cut down on screen time would help. But most of all, abandoning gender stereotypes would benefit all students. Boys in countries with the best schools read much better than girls. And girls in Shanghai excel in mathematics. They outperform boys from anywhere else in the world. That was basically based on military strategy, military planning. The Romans couldn't have conquered the world without obviously having a masterful military enterprise. And everywhere they went on the various campaigns, their various military campaigns, they would build, build camps, and those camps were always laid out in a very geometric plan along a grid, usually square or rectangular.